to appease the play. I assume that the players are shocked by this. I'm going to assume this because of how they respond to how they feel to Thibodeau.
We're 2 weeks apart from Jalen Brunson trolling the media about his minutes.
Saying it sounds like the players love playing for Thibodeau. He's a players type guy. So I'm going to assume that this is a shock and there was some tension in that locker room. Because of that, how do you appease that type of tension? There's immediate tension in that locker room. Oh my God, are they going to blow this up? 100%. Are they going to change things?
Yeah.
Who do you bring in? Jay Wright. Jay Wright, the former head coach of the Villanova University men's basketball team. The guy who coached Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart to national championships for the Villanova Wildcats. Jay Wright, who has been in retirement since 2022 when he walked away from college basketball because of the NIL and the explosion that happened outward of that of paying for your players when he is a keep your guys around guy. He is a keep your players around coach.
He is. That's why he got out. Didn't want to deal with the NIL.
Fair enough. The same guy who was asked by the guys over at Barstool on Pardon My Take about what type of job he would take if and when, and this might be a joke, but if and when he would ever take an NBA job. And what did Jay Wright have to say? Take a listen.
What NBA team would you like to coach?
Kind of kidding. The Knicks.
Okay.
Jay Wright to the Knicks.
Okay.
Huh?
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. But we're kidding, of course, because I don't want to.
JK.
Totally just
a
a joke.
Totally
Just a joke. But Jay Wright to the Knicks.
Jay Wright to the Knicks.
You heard it here first.
Print it up.
Pardon my take.
I don't want to leave Villanova, of course, but I would take the Knick job. I would go after the Knick job. How about that?
No, that was years ago. To intern AJ's point, that was they were in their old studios. That had to be 2018.
Yeah.
My God, Kyle, it was 8 years ago, bud.
Doesn't matter.
You're grasping at straws here. How about that? So, what, are they going to sign Dante? So they're going to get...
Are you telling me...
This is what we're going to do.
Are you telling me that if the Knicks call Jay Wright, he does not pick up the phone?
Hang on. So... They're going to sign Dante DiVincenzo.
They're going to get the whole crew back
They're
together.
going to get Michael Jenkins from the Serbian League. Chris Jenkins from the Serbian League that he's playing in. And they're going to run this thing back and try to win an NBA title. To see the Villanova Wildcats 2.0 in Madison Square Garden. Kyle, fair play to you. I don't think they're going to be able to get him off of his couch in
Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in beautiful Wayne, Pennsylvania, and I think he's comfy. Personally, I think he's comfy on that CBS desk.
The CBS desk,
he's
2
comfy.
months a year,
he's
does not scratch that itch.
He wants,
as a coach who has won championships, sitting on that CBS, that godforsaken desk, breaking down Rutgers UCLA on the late slot on a Saturday afternoon. Hey. I can't see that scratching his back in terms of what he's looking for in competition. Now, does he want to go coach 82 games over nine months?
And deal with the New York media and all that bull?
But he loves Madison Square Garden, and he loves his guys. If there is a reason to get him out of the barn, get him out of the attic, it would be those guys. And you know that.
Until he sees the first tabloid from the New York Post of Jay Wright botching timeouts. I mean,
here's the thing.
No one wants to deal with the New York media.
But here's the thing. It's not like he's walking. Yes, there's an expectation, but he's not walking in replacing Phil Jackson. Right. He's walking in replacing Tom Thibodeau.
Let me rephrase. Obviously, people would deal with the New York media. What I'm saying is he's comfy in his position right now.
Yeah, does he need basketball?
Exactly, of being on CBS, being with his family. Colin, he's got kids. He's got grandchildren. I'm sure he's enjoying his retirement. You're going to give all that stuff up that you enjoy to go get grilled by the New York Post night in and night out about how you're botching timeouts and the end of rotations. Colin, it's far-fetched. It's far-fetched for me with Jay Wright. It is.
I think if there's a list of people that the Knicks 1,000% are calling, I would put them on. I would put three numbers. I'd put 3 names on it. I'd put 3 names. I would put Dan Hurley on the list because Dan Hurley, New York bred, that guy is going to get a call, in my opinion. And I think I'm a UConn guy. I don't know if, you know what, maybe they don't call him. Who knows? But the idea is if he is offered that job, I think Hurley would take it. And he didn't take the Laker job. I don't know if he'd want to walk away from the stability of UConn. But that Knick job is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And they finally lost, too. UConn finally...
If there's a time to jump off ship, let's say it like we see it. Like this, they're not chasing a three-peat here. And they got the assistant coaches there that are more than capable of taking over that program.
Quickly, New York Post about 33 minutes ago. Danny Hurley, Johnny Bryant, top early list of potential Knick candidates to replace Thibodeau.
They're calling him. They're calling Mike Malone, the former coach of the Denver Nuggets. Now, the one thing about Mike Malone is the reason they got rid of Mike Malone is because Mike Malone was stubborn in his own ways about playing young guys.
And listen, there were reportedly off-the-court issues as well.
Right. They did not like how he handled increasing the rotation. But then you had Edelman step in there, and they had postseason success without Mike Malone, so I understand the pushback there. But Edelman wasn't going there going 10 deep. He was not doing that. They played Patrick Watson, whatever his name is, and they played a handful of guys off the bench, Russell Westbrook and company. So they didn't necessarily open up the depth chart, so to speak, when they got Mike Malone out of there. Mike Malone has similar tendencies to Thibodeau in terms of he plays his guys, he plays them a lot, but he's a championship-winning, pedigree, established head coach who saw a ton of success for the Denver Nuggets. That would be another person that they call. And the third person, I think you'd be foolish if you're Leon Rose to at least not pick up the phone to see if Jay Wright would pick up to answer. You'd be foolish. It's perfect. There's a story attached, yes, but you don't think Jay Wright can coach the Knicks?
I think he can.
Jay Wright was probably the best college basketball coach in the country when he was at his head. And this is when Krzyzewski was coaching. This is when Roy Williams was coaching. This is when Hurley was coaching. This is when all these guys were coaching. Tom Izzo, it was probably Jay Wright. And listen, does it always compare and contrast? Does it always translate is the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
No. Look at Pitino. Pitino burned the Celtics to the ground the second he took over that team after Kentucky. Doesn't always work. Calipari stunk.
Pitino stunk.
Awful for the Celtics. Burn them to the ground.
Now, it doesn't always work. Doesn't
always work. But I think you'd be foolish not to call. You'd be foolish to see if he doesn't, if he picks up.
We're about to see in the near future if this was an impulse firing or if the Knicks actually have a plan. If it was an impulse firing,
I don't think this is impulse firing.
Back to what I said in the first segment, Kyle. If this was an impulse firing, shame on them.
I don't think it was.
But if they have a plan, I'll listen to it.
Right.
If the plan is Hurley, I'll listen to it. If the plan is Jay Wright, I'll listen to it. But if they fired Thibodeau, banking on one of these two guys to come.
What about Mike Malone? Where do you stand among that?
It's interesting. Very similar. The only thing separating them is the
playoff success.
Exactly.
Playoff success.
The championship
is
and
better
the playoff
coach,
success.
yeah.
And Malone is going to get a job somewhere. We agree on this. Malone,
no problem.
Colin, I sit on the fence with Malone. I do. I really sit on the fence with Malone.
He's got a little Thibodeau to him.
Because, if you hire Mike Malone, I argue maybe you should have just given it another chance with Tibbs another year. But to your point, you told me earlier in the first segment, Riz, it's another year for Brunson and all these guys. I hear all that. But if there's not a huge plan of Hurley or Jay Wright and a big splash for the locker room and the fans, I'm going to question Mike Malone to an extent.
And here's the weird thing. I don't know. My personal opinion, I'm a UConn fan. I don't think Hurley is a UConn. I don't think he's a professional coach. He's a college coach. There are college coaches. There are pro coaches. I think he's a college coach. Pitino is a college coach. Jay Wright, I don't know where I fall on him. He's very, I guess, basketball fundamental based. Dare I say a little Popovich-like in terms of he keeps his guys around. He's loyal. He's consistent. He's got his, I guess, playmaking point guard who can make moves off of two. He's got his Tony Parker. I'm not saying he's pop, but in terms of a style.
Yeah. Him. You want to know who was similar, Colin? Him and Roy Williams. Roy Williams got his players to stick around in Carolina. Jay Wright got his players to stick around in Villanova.
And Villanova, comparatively to North Carolina, too.
Right. The absolute opposite, by the way, of what college sports is now. But I understand the point. The thing to lure Jay Wright is all his guys being.
That's it.
All his guys are there.
And it's the Knicks and the guys.
And you wonder, I asked you this in the pre-show meeting, do the Knicks make moves in free agency before they hire a coach? We tend to think the coach is going to come first and that this is going to be a fast process. And I go back to, we're going to know if the Knicks. Do you think the Knicks act? So let me ask you this, Kyle. Do you think the Knicks actually? Yeah. Do you think the Knicks actually have a plan here? Do they have a plan, or is this on a whim? Tibbs isn't good enough. We got to find the next guy, and we'll figure it out during this process.
Let's talk to somebody who understands